Hey guys, today I have a story time for you and also a prediction on the next 10 years. So stick around for that. Let's see if it turns out to be true or if I am way off and I'm just talking a whole heap of bull. Alright, so with the story time, I was like in my family, I was like the first person to go to university and I was studying a double degree. It was mainly health science, and I've literally forgotten what the other degree was, but it was like management something, and it was all about like with health science, you learn about obviously health and the body and all of that, but then with the management side, it's like you are going into the field to manage a hospital, right? Made no sense. Like, yeah, I was interested in the health and all of that stuff, biology and all of that, but I don't know why I chose the double degree. Like, I just did it literally purely out of ego because, wow, I'm so smart, I can do a double degree. Stupid decision. Absolutely stupid decision. And like just before this, like in high school, I really studied hard, and I kind of wrapped my identity in the guy that was the smart kid, the guy that always got the A's in class. And eventually, I got promoted, up to the silly smart class. Obviously, means absolutely nothing, but back then, it was a boost to the ego, wasn't it? Um, so, I was the first in the family to go to university, and everybody's thought, wow, this Dylan dude is so smart. And I was getting applauses every single day. All right. Now, my identity today is literally the opposite of that because I dropped out of uni in my second year. And thank God I did that. Honestly, if I could go back in time, I probably would have dropped out of high school, honestly. I probably would have dropped out at, age 16 or so, and what I would have done is just gone straight into hospitality, worked at a few different restaurants, different brands. My story is I worked at Nando's. I actually wish I worked at a few different. And if I started earlier, I would have got the experience to see how these companies run, what's the pros and cons about how they run their business, and I would have learnt a lot more and really progressed a lot faster, right? So today when I talk to other people my age, right, around the age of 30, I get an applause today like, wow, you did a good job. You had the confidence to leave university. And honestly, going back in the moment, it was a really tough decision. When I announced it to my family, the disappointment in their eyes, their faces, it felt like I had let down the whole entire family because I was the first guy. Right? I was the first one going to university. And, what do parents like to do? It's like we've taken away the thing from them. All they want is to say to every other parent that, hey, my son or my daughter is going to university. Which what does it mean? It means I've done my job correctly. I've raised this kid well, right? I took that away from him, right? I took that away from him. So people my age, whenever I say that, they're like, wow, good job, good job, good job. But this younger generation, that like they're around age 20 now, they think completely different. It's like, it's now normal. Like when I tell them, oh, I dropped out of uni, they're like, what? Okay, so what? So like, it's not even a big thing anymore. So, like, with my ego, I do expect somewhat of a small little applause. Wow, you were thinking different, which, obviously it's not that big of a deal. But with today's kids that are coming up, they're thinking so differently that it's actually normal to them. Like, I wonder, what is the percentage of people that honestly thought, hey, university is not the path, like when I was in uni, compared to the people today? And what's going to happen in the next 10 years? I think, the percentage that think it's not the path anymore, I think it's going to increase. It's just odd, and I'm seeing people. I was actually at a cafe in Bali, and I was just overhearing some young kids. They're making money online, and they've moved to Bali, and they're traveling throughout Southeast Asia, and they were talking, about this stuff, and it's just like common now. It's kind of like common knowledge. It's in the mindset of this generation that university is not necessarily the way anymore. Where, like when I was when I was really thinking about it, and I was thinking about it for months and months and months on end, because it was a really big decision. Like, They had literally brainwashed me that, hey, if you leave this place, your life is done. Your life is over, And like how they used to speak, like at my high school, they used to have these big presentations talking about how good uni is and then how bad TAFE is. And then it turns out TAFE isn't even bad, man. Like, all the guys that went down that road, they're the ones that are making a whole lot more money than the people that went down, the university path in general. And, the people that go down the university path are just stuck in front of the computer all day doing mundane tasks, and it's absolutely boring, mate. So there's another cost to that. Often another cost to that, which is, your happiness, your mental health. So it was a really big thing for me to drop out. And, my logical mind was saying, hey, it just makes sense. Like, I'm just lying to myself by saying, hey, I'm going to run a hospital one day. Look at me. I'm not running a hospital, mate. But everyone around me said, yeah, great, you stay there. You're gonna have a great life, mate. Thank God I left. My life today is so much better than what it would have been if I'd stayed there, right? And we're not even talking about the debt and all of that stuff. Like, even if you paid me, right? Even if university wasn't free, like, if it was free, I still wouldn't go. If you paid me, I still wouldn't go. I would still want to drop out at age 16, start working minimum wage, getting this experience in, understanding, about customers, about money, about, everything that goes into a business. I'd rather get that, because that is like a real university degree, a real business degree. It's real life. And, the most important thing you learn from that is, what is realistic? How does the world actually work? And, understanding how the customer thinks, understanding, and how to be a leader with your staff members. That's probably 90% of the battle. Is if you can be a great leader, you're probably going to find a way to make good money. So yeah, it's just interesting to see how the younger generation, they think, and I can't wait to see how they think in the next 10 years. But that's not my prediction. My prediction is just how people's mindset has been changing with university, and it's already changed. I think this is kind of the time where in about 10 years, it will now be normal to not think that the only way you can get rich is to buy a house and live in it, It's getting to the stage where it just makes no sense. It's like, I think people need to be looking at it, obviously there's the Australian dream, the American dream. You have your own property, you got this big backyard, your dog, you got your kids and all of this stuff, and then you get married, and then you work really hard at the job that you got from university, because of your university degree, stuck in front of the computer, and then you're saving and you're struggling for your mortgage, and then you want to upgrade, your driveway or your garden or your living room. Or you want to upgrade your car to a slightly better car. So you're doing all these little things which are just materialistic and they just don't make any sense. And because you're stuck in, you're stuck in this weird mindset, you're then thinking like you need to buy something to make you feel good. I think that like right now is when it's the start of the hockey stick, and people are really going to start thinking seriously that, hey, that is just not the way. It's just not the way. There's there's other ways where you can make a whole lot more money and have freedom at the exact same time. And this thing of always bigger house, better car, and like, mate, you upgrade, like, how often do you see when someone upgrades their car over a course of 10 years, 3 or 4 times, right? And then the upgrades are so minute that you're like, you're going up like brand by brand, tiny little bit. It's like you don't even go from shitbox to the best of the best in that 10 years. Like, all of these things are just terrible financial decisions that really set you back, and they don't even bring you true happiness. Like, I understand if you're a car nut and you just love cars and they truly bring you joy, then by all means do that. But the large majority of society, they absolutely lie to themselves, and then they put that smile on their face like, yeah, I'm happy and all of that. It's like, I've heard stories, like I just know anecdotally, like the older generation, to me, they're happy to put up with that. They're happy to put up with that. I'm not. I'm not. The next generation, I don't think they are as well. I think, they're going to be thinking more in my manner, and it's going to keep on progressing more and more and more past me, right? That's I think where the world is heading. But I've heard stories of guys where their parents, they've always said, "No, I love my job and all of this," and it's like, but what do you actually do at work? You do nothing that actually brings you joy. Like, tell me a task or why it actually brings you joy, and they can't answer it. It's very sad. Honestly, it's very sad. It is. And sometimes it's not even worth bringing it up, because if they're going to be retiring in the next few years, like, it's already too late. They've already wasted it. So maybe the best thing is to just keep lying to yourself. I hate seeing it, because I can see the words coming in their mouth. They're saying one thing: I love my job, I love my job. But in their eyes, it looks like death, man. It looks like death. There's nothing there. There's no soul there. They've lost. They're not a human anymore. It almost makes me want to cry. Like, literally, right now, a part of me really is close to crying. And I've heard stories where, they're 5 years away from retiring, and then an entrepreneur, their son or their daughter, has made $1 million, more than $1 million, and handed them $1 million, right? And then instantly, they quit their job, right? It proves, based on the action, they were lying to themselves. Their job wasn't bringing them that joy that they were saying, right? And obviously, this is generalizing here, right? So, take it with a grain of salt. Not everyone is like this, but a large portion of society, they absolutely lie to themselves. But I'm so excited to see the next generation, and and how people's mindsets change over time. Because like in the world of investing, right, the great thing about the S&P 500 is odds are, it's since the beginning of time, it's made 10% every single year. I personally believe it's might start ticking up now with technology and all of that. It might start compounding at 12% on average over the next 10 or 20 years, right? With property in many countries like Australia, over the last 10 years, it's been the biggest bull market of all time. What are the percentage odds that it's going to continue for the next 10 or 20 years at the same rate, right? How much are you willing to bet? Are you thinking in an investment portfolio, right? You got to think like, hey, I believe that I got such high conviction with this thesis, so I'm going to put 90% of my net worth in this thing, right? That's how people are actually acting with their money. 90% into this house, right? But if you think with portfolio theory, start to realize, hey, actually, now that I think about it, if it keeps going at this rate, then what does Australia look like in 10 or 20 years? Like, does it actually make sense, or is there going to be a reversal? What's your percentage odds that there's a reversal of some sort, there's a crash of some sort? I'm not saying it's going to happen, but what's your percentage odds? Like, no one thinks in terms of percentages. It's always black and white. Yes, it has to, or it hasn't. It's a spectrum. That's how investors actually think, right? Yeah, so I can't wait to see how the mindset shifts over the next 10 years. Really excited for it. And honestly, I can't wait. Let me know what your thoughts are. I'll see you in the next video.